If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, then you need to avoid making the mistakes of these 3 things. So in this video, I want to share with you some of my experience when I started my business and what you shouldn't be doing so that you can really succeed in business. Number 1 tip is to not expect business to be like a sprint, to be successful fast. Really set your expectation that it is a marathon. It is going to be a long-time journey. Now, the reason why I need to say that is that when I first started out, I really perceived that business was going to be easy. I remember my first business, it was an e-commerce business selling nail polish, and I was like, oh, of course, everyone needs nail polish, and if all I need is make $1, and if I sell it to 1 million girls, I should make $1 million. And little did I know that I did have no idea about business, about branding, about how to make my product unique. So then it was a failure, and it took me so many business experiences and business failures before I landed on a really great idea. And even then, when I got a great idea and got business, got sales and got clients, it still just was a long journey. It was just hard. And so I think it's important for us to set that expectation, because if you get sold on the fact that, there are a lot of gurus out there that are saying, hey, learn this course and become a business owner, and I'm going to give you my secrets on how I made $100,000 and $1 million in the next 90 days. You will buy into that short-term kind of rich quick scheme, and a true business isn't like that. And the thing is, if you want to build a sustainable business that you can be proud of, that then you can spend the next 10 years really excited about, then you need to really spend that time to learn about yourself, to allow yourself years of maybe making mistakes and trying different ideas and then failing but not giving up. So then if you know that it's going to be that hard, then you expect it and you don't just give up easily. Because if you set a wrong expectation and go, oh yeah, business, I want to be an entrepreneur, it sounds so cool and sexy, and I'm going to be rich like the other person, they seem like, they make it look so easy, so I should be able to do it. And if you set like that, and then when the real hustle happens and you're not getting what you want, and it's usually because you haven't got the skills and knowledge yet, and so then you will set yourself to disappointment, and then you basically fail. And here's the thing, you need to not also compare your journey with someone else's journey. So let's just say I started Outsourcing Angel, and I said that in 3 years of starting Outsourcing Angel, it became a $1 million business. So between 2009 and 2015, that's 6 years. That was between when I started my e-commerce business and then the agency and many little business along the way, right? And that really didn't get further than maybe $300,000 or $400,000 or $300,000, right? And so it took me 6 years to do that. But when I changed the business model from the marketing agency in 2015, in 2018, in 3 years, it turned into a 7-figure business, $1 million. And now if you look in, you're like, oh my God, this person just succeeded in 3 years. Oh my God, like that's so good. But then you forget that it actually, my whole journey has been 8 years. So then that's the reality of it. And so, when you're comparing to someone else succeeding and all of a sudden making $1 million, $1 billion, or whatever it is, they probably had 20 years or 10 years or whatever it is behind them. And so then you just need to not worry about their journey, but mainly worry about yourself, and do know that it's a long journey. And so then I would say that it took me 3 years to become a 7-figure business when I launched Outsourcing Angel. And then it took another, few years to double that. And even talking about YouTube as well, I would say that it's taken me, so 2011 was when I first made my first video, and it's 2023 right now did I realize that I'm actually on the right journey. And the funny thing is, it took maybe 4 or 5 years of taking it serious to get to 10,000 subscribers. But within only 1 month or less than 2 months, it's gone another 5,000. So it's like 50% more in such a short period of time. So the thing about life and business and anything, it's kind of like a really, really slow journey. And then when everything kind of kicks in gear and you know what you're doing and the timing and opportunity happens, all of a sudden it's exponential. Now, the second thing that you need to avoid doing is getting so caught up in trying to build out your website and start to just, spend all this time on marketing just because you had a great idea. So let's just say you have an idea that I want to do a social media service, social media agency business. Now, don't get caught up in going, okay, now I need a logo, and then I go and need a website, and I need to find someone to go and, build out my email automation so that people will know about me. No, the first thing you need to do is actually going out there, networking, and tell someone that, hey, I can help with social media. And it's like, well, show me what you've done. Well, I've only helped myself. Would you like me to help you? And maybe I can do it at a special rate or a discount, and then actually get them as a client first, have a test, prove that you can do your work. And then once you've got some, work up your sleeve, portfolios, and then even paying clients, then you can worry about building out your website and doing all your marketing. So here's an example. When I first started my e-commerce business, guess what I did? I came up with the idea of nail polish. And the first thing I did was I bought all this stock. I bought the label. I created a logo. I got a website done. And then I just sat there and said, where are my customers? And, what I should have done is actually get some products in. And even if I didn't have my own brand, just get it out there, like get people trying it out. And it's like, oh, this is really good. And then if it's proven that it's good, then go and change the label and decide to actually do it. But what I did instead was spent thousands. I think I spent about $30,000 on my first business. And then when I had the website up, I heard crickets. There was nothing. And that's when I realized I needed SEO and I needed, Google ads. And so more money was going to come in. And ultimately, I didn't really have a great product. I had a nail polish product that it was the same as everyone else, or probably just, one of the mediocre one. And then I didn't have any money to actually sell anything more. And I have nothing different to what the market has. Now, if I was smart, I would have tried out and asked the customers, what do you like about it? What's different? What's missing from the marketplace? What do you wish could happen in this kind of industry or thing? And then actually develop something that would be unique, because what you need is you need something unique. So if you're interested in starting a VA agency or a marketing agency like mine, don't just go and copy exactly what I do. Go and really identify your special experience in certain industry, or, the type of knowledge that you have. Maybe you're knowledgeable in sales and you've worked in the freight industry. Then maybe you can do some sort of marketing agency or VA agency within that niche so that you stay in that niche. And when you stay in that niche, you also get to learn more about the customers and understand their needs more, that you go, how can I develop it beyond just this kind of service that's out there and do something else? And so get real clients in first. So how I then ended up being successful was when I didn't want to do my nail polish business anymore. I went out networking, and then people wanted to ask me about how do I grow my business, and I gave them all these tips. And then they're like, oh, can you just go and help me with my website? And I was like, oh, okay. So I got clients paying me before I even had a business, because at the end of the day, people just want things done. They don't really care about your name and your brand. I mean, you will eventually need that if you want to scale it, but at the beginning, it's all about product fit. So that's exactly what I did with Outsourcing Angel as well. So I started to just ask people, hey, I can help you with recruitment instead of just project managing. Let me just do it for you. And then I even helped a few friends doing it for free, and I gave them a VA, and then they're like, oh, this is really great. And I got a chance to validate it. And then when I realized that this could really work because I've got a paying client or someone that was willing to pay, that's when I started to build out my website. And at that time, even when we were doing proposals or whatever, we were just using an email. There was no fancy pages and PDFs and things. It was just straight to the point and getting the customers in, and then actually delivering the service than rather trying to worry about being fancy. Now, what the third mistake that people make is trying to do everything themselves. This is when you feel like, well, I can't outsource, I can't find a person to do it because then it will eat into my revenue. But the problem when you're thinking like that is that you can't grow. So as early as possible, you really need to think about how you're going to hire someone else to fulfill the client's order. So let's just say you are a graphic designer, you know how to create graphic. But if you don't think like a business owner and build out as an entrepreneur, you are going to take in the job and then just spend all your time designing. But your time should actually be spending on finding customers and then creating strategies and coming up with ideas on how you could be different and what packages you're going to put together and how you're going to build an amazing, unique business. So early on, what I did was I straight away always hired people to do the work. Well, the fortunate thing is I didn't know how to do it, so then I had to hire people. But that's how I was able to grow a 5-figure business from day one when I had the marketing agency. But where I see a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up is trying to do it themselves and being too scared to take the leap to get some help. And so the first thing you do is you look at the service that you're offering and find people to do it. And you can start off as project based, and then you can eventually then hire them part-time or full-time. But never think that, hey, if I do it, I get to keep all the money. Because if you free up that time for someone else to do that work, then you can spend that time in finding clients. And if you can practice that skill set in outsourcing or hiring people to do things, and then while focusing on growing the business, you will continue to scale. And I promise you, it will always be scary along the way. When I hired my first person to when I hired my 10th person, even now, I still think about, okay, it's still taking a leap of faith, because there is going to be a period where it feels like the revenue hasn't caught up to the investment that you've made to the people. But it takes a bit of time. People come in, they're learning the rope, and maybe you haven't really had that much time left to find customers, but eventually you will, and you'll realize that without that team that you've invested in and build that time up, you wouldn't be able to be where you are. And so outsource and hire people as early as possible. Well, those are the 3 main tips that I could give you for you to avoid and have a think about. But if you have any challenges or questions, love to hear in the comments below. And again, I would love to see you again in the next video.